right, today for Stump Kate, we are going to go over this elementary math lesson about money and story problems and how we can recreate this in a couple different ways, just kind of thinking about what do you want to get out of it. So in this assignment, the students are going to the movie theater and they are purchasing particular items for the movie, and they only have so much money. So there are three questions that are kind of two-part. It's do you have enough money, yes or no, and show your work. So very simplistic, this is what we're going to recreate. So let me jump over here. So these are three questions, two parts. I'm already in GradeCam. I created a 6-question quiz, and I actually already have added the attachment in the student portal because I want to show you what this is going to look like in the portal today if you're working distantly or you are working remote and need to have digital access. So first off is we need to adjust those first questions. So I'm going to select odd, 1, 3, and 5. If it's just this many, it's not that hard to click, but if you had 50 questions, having that select odd is really helpful. So I'm going to adjust this down to be a yes, no, because it's a yes, no question. Hit save. I'm going to unselect, and I want to go ahead and put in my answers here. Whoops, I clicked on the wrong one. And then here. Now I'm going to select my evens because I need to adjust these to be show your work areas. So I do like to batch edit when they're pretty generic questions just as it makes it a lot quicker. So we're going to go down to open response capture. I'm going to adjust down my scale to 0, 1, 2, and I like to keep it that kind of range there, is that helps me with my data when I'm looking at reports later. Is 0 is they didn't get showing their work at all, they had their calculations all messed up. 1, they might have made 1 or 2 errors, and then 2 is they got it, they understood how to show their work, and the calculations are all correct there. So I like to have a range, and then I'm going to adjust down my multiplier because I don't want to put too much weight on this, but you of course could leave that at 1, you could make it 2 so that more weight was on the show your work part than just the response, because that may be what you're looking at. You could even make it 0 if you don't want to stress students out about showing their work. It just kind of depends on what your standard is. I'm also going to add the custom header, and this is going to go on all of them because I'm bulk editing. If you are planning on printing forms or having forms for students to hand write in these responses, you may want to give them a little bit more room. But where we're doing this is in the student portal, I wouldn't need to adjust that because the text boxes are expandable in the portal. Go ahead and hit save. Now, I could leave it at that and have it here if I would like. You can see 6 questions alternating different style types, but I am going to adjust the number label because I want students to understand that these go together. So I'm going to make a 1A, and then I'm going to do a 1B, and so on. Let me change these really quick. 3A and lastly 3B. Okay. Save. So I'm done now, and I've got everything done and it's ready to go. Remember, I've already added my attachments and I've published it to Student Portal. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about the Student Assessment Portal and just don't know quite what you need, you can always pop something into the comments or the chat, and we're happy to answer those questions where we can. So how does this look for students? So let me go ahead and go into Have You Got Money and go ahead and start my assignment. So you can see here, those are alternating questions. They bubble in their correct answers, and this is where they're going to show their work. So if I had, and maybe they didn't answer this one yet because you say you have $5 and the candy bar costs 1 and I wanted a soda which costs 2, so this is going to equal out to how much is left? $2. Yes, I do have enough money, so I click yes and I see my work. Students can type this in or enter it however works best for them. The nice thing about it is GradeCam will go ahead and grade the A's for you, and you as a teacher can come back and relook at that showing their work to see if it was the degrees of how much did they understand in their calculations. All right, so that's one way that we can do this assignment. The other way that we can do the assignment, let me pull that back up. I'm just going to adjust this a little bit more and thinking about, oh, I want to actually see that calculation and make sure they calculate the difference, meaning how much money do they have left over or how much money are they short. So I'm going to add a column that says difference. I didn't change anything else, so now it's a 3-part question. Do you have enough money? Show your work, and what's the difference? What's that calculation there? Because GradeCam can grade both 1 and the 3rd part, in that you will come back and look at the calculation for the 2nd part. So it just depends on what you want to do. Now, I could insert questions on my existing assignment, but I went ahead and created it just to clean things up just a little bit. So I still have the yes, no, and the open response. Those aren't different. But now I'm going to go through and collect all my C's because I added those and I adjusted my labels just so that was already done. And now I'm going to decide how I want to grade this. Since I'm asking for a calculated response, there probably is one correct answer. If you are a part of a school or district and you have access to the gradient handwriting recognition right now, you'll actually see numeric and fill in the blank. Numeric is a great way to go, and you can use that and still collect the response of whether it's 2, and I can add a custom question header and I could type in difference. If you don't have that access, you can still use the number grid. So the number grid can be displayed a couple different ways at the portal, and I love that, is it really puts some flexibility to it. Now I'm going to adjust my characters here to be 0 through 9, and I want to add the dollar symbol right at the front because I want them to know that they need to use the correct label. I'm going to leave it at 3 columns just in case if they wanted to go more than that. And when you bulk edit number grid, it does ask for an answer. It's required before you can leave it. So I just go ahead and put in the top answer, and then I'll adjust from there. What's great about GradeCam right now is that I can actually hit this right here. It says fill in the bubble grid, and I can choose to type the answer or fill in the bubble grid. This gives 2 options at the portal of how the students will respond. You may want your students to get used to using a bubble grid in a digital platform because that may be required in another test that they may see. So you can leave it as a bubble grid, or you can do type in your answer and it shows up like an answer field. So I'm going to leave this one as type in answer, and I'm actually going to go back and just change one of them so that you can see what they both look like at the portal. So what I need to do now is just adjust these. So the second answer is actually $2, but I'm going to adjust this question type to be a bubble so you can see what the difference is. And I'm going to go down to my last one, and the correct response is 6. And hit save. All right, so how does this look at the portal for students? Now keep in mind you can print these off as paper forms as you like. You're not required to do it at the portal. I just wanted to focus on that one today so you could see how these question types appear. So I added a different attachment just because I wanted to call out for those 3 different sections. I still have the yes, no, I still have the showing your work, but here is the number grid. And the number grid shows up as a text area, and it tells you the values that they can enter. So I can say $2 if I want to. This is what it looks like as the bubble grid. So if I was going to put that answer in, that's how it would appear. So I could have that answer in there by clicking on the bubbles, because that may be something they see in another test. Now notice things are kind of scrunched right now, but that's because I squished down my window just to make it a little easier for everybody to see. Then we jump back over. So another option of what could we do for this assignment? What am I looking for? Now this particular one I just adjusted because I want to focus on, are my students understanding how to calculate properly and how to talk that out and hear those problems. So I just left it as the question as well as showing your work. Do you have enough money? And show your work. But my last question that I added is I want them to make up their own money story problem. I have how much money and I want to buy what items. They have to record a video, or we can jump on a video call if you're working remotely, or maybe they just come up to my desk or they raise their hand and I talk to them in the classroom if they're on site. They have to show me how they work their problem or talk out how they would give back change, because now I'm looking at, do they have the right skills to explain their thinking as they're working through it. But I want that score to be included in the assignment that I am grading here, so that all of that's collected together. So if this is something that I'm doing on a case-by-case basis, students would actually look at growth over time if I want to reuse that, if I want to tie it to standards. I want to put it all together. So let me go back here and show you what this assignment is going to look like. So this one is very similar to my first one. It has yes, no, and it has that capture area. I did not do the difference calculation because I'm more worried about what are they calculating and do they know how to show their work. These last 2 are the big difference. So for this 4A, this was my question. Type in your own money story problem. I could also say write if I wanted students to do this on paper instead of doing it out the portal digitally. I may give them a couple lines of room as well as line separators so they just have something to keep their lines clean. For grading, I adjusted my scale 0, 1 because did they write the problem or did they not? That's kind of basically what it is. I did adjust the label to 4A. My next one I'm going to adjust to 4B. Now this is where I'm going to change my question type a little bit. You could use open response capture. This is going to give an area for students to write in a response. but that's not what I'm asking for. I'm asking for them to come talk to me or record a video or show this later, or maybe they're doing a Flipgrid, or maybe we have to do a call. I'm leaving it open, so I'm going to do rubric with points, rubric or points. If you have handwriting recognition, you'll see points. If you don't, you'll see rubric. So rubric is just that scale. The way this displays at the portal is different than open response. This displays that the teacher will grade, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to adjust down my scale. I just want it 0, 1, 2, 3. Maybe you have certain criteria that you're asking for them to do when they present that. Do they have to use the right vocabulary? Do they have to explain it in proper steps? There may be different things that you would be grading on. I'm going to leave my multiplier at 1 so that this is worth 3 points. There's a little bit more weight to this. Again, it's all collected together. So I'm going to hit save. So what does this look like at the portal for those students that are completing this remotely or just digitally? Jump back over to GradeCam, jump out to the correct assignment. I've already added my attachment and assigned it. So I still have my yes, no, I still have my showing of my work and adding some information here. And then at the bottom with that 4A and 4B, you'll see that I have type your own money story problem. I have, oops, hit the caps there, have $20 and what I'm going to buy, and you could go on and so forth. They type it out. This is that rubric question. It doesn't allow the students to submit anything at the portal because we are going to do this outside at another time when we have direct teacher time, when we meet at the end of the week, or when you come up during your time with my conference and you're going to explain it, but I'm going to keep my scores together. So they can go ahead and submit even though that last question isn't done yet. If you want to say it in quotes, the teacher will grade this. How does the teacher see this? They come back to scans. Here's Rosa. She's already turned it in. I'm grading her work that I see. I can review that. But now I'm going to say, okay, Rosa, I want you to come up and I want you to explain me your problem or show me your work. She does it right there. Or we jump on a call. I get the score. Everything is together. I've now graded different types of performance from that student, but put the assignment all together. So it's really nice that you can have such a variety and really looking at what kind of a score, what kind of a assessment are you looking back from the students and skills that you're looking into. So I hope that was helpful and you guys have a great day.